So thank you for joining the presentation webinar on the online claims platform for environmental chamber members to give them an update on the online claims platform, what we're trying to achieve, where the project is at this point, and a demonstration of the platform itself. So what is the online claims platform? Well, just to start, my name is Phil Guillory. I'm the Supply Chain Integrity Director for FSC. Also joining us today is Emily Crumley, who is the Supply Chain Manager for FSC. The two of us are coordinating and working to implement the online claims platform. So what is the online claims platform? In case people are not aware of what it is an internet-based platform for certificate holders to record and store FSC transactions and records. And I'll go into why we are doing that, but just in quick overview is the FSC realizes that the chain of custody system per se has really not changed in how it functions in 20 years, in the sense of it's a paper-based system dependent on yearly audits. And so we feel that we need to modernize the system and use latest technologies if possible to improve the credibility and the functioning of our chain of custody system. So the online claims platform is a secure method for storing records of these transactions between trading parties who are in the chain of custody system. And it's also a flexible system that allows certificate holders to put in the information anywhere in the world, pretty much at any time, through different means of actually providing that information. It's not just through a user interface on the internet, but there's other methods to also input data into it. And as you see, there's a number of languages that the OCP functions in, and that those languages will be increased over time. And also, very importantly, is that it is developing, provides tools and services, and we'll be demonstrating to be able to help with chain of custody. And our goal is actually to achieve that any information requirements in chain of custody could be and can be delivered through the online claim platform. So let's see the next slide. So why is it being introduced? Well, the FSC has had a number of cases where we know that inaccurate claims or products have been passed through the supply chain and received by retailers and others that are in fact not FSC, do not meet the FSC certification standards, are inaccurate in the claim. And that has resulted in financial and reputational problems for these companies, the ones selling it and the ones receiving it, at no fault of their own. So the online claims platform is designed to address those problems. And that is, the FSC system is very good at what we call internal traceability, the traceability within an organization. The yearly audits are very good at checking what is going on within an organization, but we do not check what we call external traceability, the trade between one organization, one company to another, between the supplier and the customer. And I'll be demonstrating how that works. So the current system, company A sells a certified product to company B. On our standards, it requires that that claim, the FSC claim, is included in the invoice or whatever documentation that is sent to company B. The certification body audits the company A and looks at their volume summary, what they have traded. Then the company B that received the material, also a certification body, an auditor, looks at their volume summary. But the certification bodies are generally not the same certification bodies, and even if they are, they're different auditors. So it's very unlikely and very difficult to actually compare what was claimed by company A with what was compared by company B. The auditor is required to look at the invoices, but they do not then compare them to what the supplier then provided. So this allows for what we call an origination error to occur. So the invoice is sent, and the company, the customer, received the invoice, and they include that in the volume summary for their uh, for their certification body to look at, and the auditor looks at the records and finds that there is not a problem. What happens is, and this can be accidental or purposeful, is that company A doesn't include this invoice in their records, does not include it in their material accounting record. They might just say they sent material, but it's not FSC certified, or that they didn't even send material. Then this means that the auditor, when he checks company A, does not see any record uh, of that trade, and so sees no problem and has no visibility on that problem. So we have what we call an origination error. So we have an inaccurate, so the inaccuracy that starts to spread down the supply chain. Origination error 2, invalid certificate. So this is another area where the online claim platform will address this issue. Company A sells a product to company B. Company B is required on a periodic basis in our standard to check info.fsc.org to check the status of the company's certificate. And this is, again, said to be needed on a periodic basis. But oftentimes companies only do this right before an audit or do it quarterly. Very rare it's for anybody to check every invoice, every shipment they receive to make sure that this certification status is current and accurate. So what happens is the CB suspends or change or suspends the certificate. The company B doesn't learn of this. But the company A continues to sell what they say is certified material, either purposefully or accidentally. Someone in shipping doesn't or labeling doesn't learn that they've been suspended and continues to send it with an FSC claim. And so then you have another inaccurate claim that passes into the system. So what FSC is proposing and developing with the online claims platform is when company A sells an FSC certified product to company B, company B, the customer, then enters that claim, enters that information into the online claims platform. Then they connect with company A on the platform and tell them they have entered a claim. And company A then approves and approves that this claim was the actual claim they entered, thus assuring that company company A and company B have both agreed that this similar claim has been traded between them. Then it's both. Then it assures that it's in both companies' volume summaries, or at least if for some reason it's not included in the volume summary, it will be very obvious to the when the audit takes place, because the auditor will be required, will be allowed to have visibility on those records to make sure that both parties actually agreed on what was traded between them. So then, if for some reason they do not agree on the claim or what was shipped between them, they can be allowed to revise that and change that. Another factor to make the process easier is that if a supplier can auto approve claims, they do not have to actively approve claims, but it will be then auto approved and put in the system after 14 days, which means then the auditor will have visibility to match that and identify if there are any problems. So it's a bit of a repetition, but why are we choosing to introduce the OCP is I think it's been demonstrated that it's really important that we have discovered a gap in our system around external traceability trade between two parties. We understand this gap is being taken advantage of and abused in some instances, enough instances that it puts FSC's credibility at high risk. And so we need to somehow address this gap in our system. And the method the board and FSC leadership have felt is that the online claim platform allows us to assure 100% of the claims that are traded between parties in a relatively easy process. That alternative processes would be likely much more onerous and costly to introduce. And at the same time, we can provide a number of benefits to certificate holders when they use the FSC online claims platform. And so one of the things people have come back to us and questions, and I think even the environmental chamber have asked us is, okay, we have a gap in the system, we have an issue. Can't you just do more audits? Wouldn't more audits be able to cover this problem? And the point is if we did more audits the way we currently do audits, it would really not make any difference. An auditor can look at more invoices, but if they're not comparing them to the invoices at the supplier side, then there's no way to catch the problem. And it also, even if we looked at more audits, the ability for a physical auditor, a person, to look at a statistically relevant number of invoices and compare them with the supplying company would be overwhelming in the level of work. So one of the things that's really important to communicate is that we have designed the online claims platform to try to provide assistance to chain of custody holders, new chain of custody certificate holders as they enter the system, but also current ones, with really trying to lower the administrative burdens, the administrative requirements that are required for FSC, and to make it a much simpler process. One of the things the OCP can provide and would replace is the requirement to keep records of supplier and verify their certificate status. That's a requirement currently under the FSC chain of custody, and this is a process that companies need to do. The OCP will automate this for them, and Emily will demonstrate how that works in a few minutes. And another important area of the online claims platform is it will hold data on species and country of harvest and pass that on along in the supply chain. So those, for example, in Europe that are first placers can have the information on countries and species of a product automatically delivered to them through the online claims platform. Volume summaries can be automated and developed using the online claims platform. And Emily will quickly show how that works. And also the requirement to maintain a product type list that can be, if a certificate holder uses product type, they can enter that into the online claims platform. Also, on top of that, we are looking at other additional ways the OCP could significantly lower the administrative burden of chain of custody. We really, any ideas, we are looking for thoughts from different sectors and different industries, different organizations on how the OCP could be used to really streamline FSC chain of custody, while also increasing the credibility of the chain of custody system at the same time. So one of the questions I thought was, is the OCP mandatory for all certificate holders? So this will explain how the OCP is being implemented. So we are in the process we have a beta version Emily will be showing the beta version of the online claim platform that we are circulating and allowing any certificate holder to test and use and be able to test in a safe environment. And that's throughout this year. And from February, this demo version has been available. We also are developing what we call a live version, and that should be completely ready in the next couple months. And the live version is basically the same as the demo version, but the data is held in the system permanently. It can then be used for audits and volume summaries and those areas. The demo version can't be, because the data will be periodically removed to make sure users have complete confidentiality that it is a test, and none of that data will be used or analyzed. What the board has, the FSC board has come back on the decision on making, if to make the OCP mandatory or not, is the decision has been that further testing is needed in the online claims platform before any mandatory requirements for the OCP would be decided upon. And then once any decision would be made, there would be a 6-month period before that any of that requirements would be put in place. And from that point forward, it would then mean certificate holders would have a year to implement and start using the system. It would likely be a minor car, so they would have another year to demonstrate if there are any issues to be able to use it. So that's where we are at the current process. One of the things we are looking at is, can the online claims platform be introduced in a voluntary method and actually achieve the results we're trying to achieve? And that's something we are working on and will be reporting back to the board on. So one of just the last slide before I hand it over to Emily to demonstrate the online claims platform is there is a very detailed information site on the OCP. It's organized, basically saying describing what is the online claims platform, with a number of videos available, why we're doing it, and then frequently asked questions, and then a number of resources such as user manuals and other resources, videos on helping people use the online claims platform. We also have ability to register and try the online claims platform for certificate holders. So with that, Emily, I'm going to change over to you, and you can do a demonstration of the online claims platform.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I should be the presenter now, and you should be able to see my screen. To follow up directly on what Phil was just mentioning is the informational website that we have. So this is the website. I'll make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. If it works. But anyway, this is where you go to see the videos. You click on this, or you click on this video to learn more about the OCP. Or if one of your colleagues who didn't join, they can go here to check out these videos, or we will post this webinar on the resources page as well. So that's the website that Phil was talking about. I'll make sure you have this website. It's ocp-info.fsc.org. Okay, so now I will log into the demo version of the OCP. If you have any questions, unmute yourself or type in the chat box, and hopefully Phil will notice the chat questions, and he can jump in and ask your questions. So this is the demonstration version of the OCP. It's very clear. This is the demo use, not the live version. So once companies register to their account to the OCP, they can log in here. Log in. Each certificate holder has an OCP account ready for them to register today. It's based on the person who's listed on info.fsc.org. And then if I wanted to add more people to my account, I'll go to Wood and Genetics. That's going to be my fictitious company that I'm pretending to be part of. If I wanted to add somebody to my account, it's fairly simple. You can see your contact information. You see your scope information already here. Oh, I'm not an administrator to this account, so I can't add somebody, but you can add others to this account from your company. So the first thing you need to do as a certificate holder is you would search the supply chain for some of your suppliers so you can connect with them. So you search by their code or by their name, and then I'll say, okay, yes, the company I'm doing business with is Wood Flooring and Panels. So you select that company, that code. It has their information, so you can say, yep, that's them, they're in Belgium, here's their code. Then you click the connect button, and you pick the person that you do business with. So I'll say I do business with Charles Darwin, and say okay. You get this little auto-populated message that comes up that you can just send to your supplier, or if you want to add a personal message, you can add a message here. Whoops. Personal message here. Please accept this connection request. Whatever you want to say. If you want to say something, you say okay. And then you'll see that the connection request was sent. The OCP automatically goes to the pending connections, so you can see all the pending connections that you have made. You will also be able to see here if you click on suppliers, who your connected suppliers are right now. Some feedback that we received from companies who are interested in testing is that they wanted to test the OCP, but they didn't really want to connect to their real suppliers. So there is a beta test supplier that anybody can connect to. Their name is beta test supplier, and their code is here. And when any company asks to test the OCP, we make sure that they know about this beta test supplier. So when you make claims against this beta test supplier, it's a fictitious supplier. Your auditor will never see that. None of your other real suppliers will see it. So it's a true sandbox or test environment. If you do have customers who are certified customers who are using the OCP as well, and they send a connection request to you, then you'll be able to see who your customers are that you're connected to here. Some companies do track who their certified customers are, and some companies don't track if their customers are certified or not. So this is a nice summary of who your customers are, just right here in the supply chain tab.
Can I ask a question, Amy?
Yes.
Yes. Is it solely customer driven, meaning that because if I understood correctly, you in this example can invite your supplier to connect, and then your customers must invite you to connect. Is that correct?
Correct. That is the way the OCP is working right now today. We did get some feedback that it might be some customers might want their suppliers to search for them. So they'll probably, it's not built into here yet, but there'll probably be a little checkbox that you would check to allow your customers to find, to allow your suppliers to find you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'll mark that down to make sure we write that down too.
And just to be clear, the reason we don't have that feature is we wanted to prevent the feedback we received is that many suppliers would, in a sense, spam customers. If they were allowed to, they would just start sending and trying to connect with non-customers. So we wanted to protect that from happening.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so now if you when you connect to your suppliers, it's a one-time thing. You're automatically connected to them. Anytime their certificate scope or status changes, whether their main contact changes, their address changes, or if the scope of their certificate, where Now they can sell more products or different types of product types or different species, or if they're suspended for a certain amount of time, then reinstated, you'll be notified through the OCP, through this notification center, and then also you'll receive an email when anything changes in any of your suppliers' scope or status. So that gets at origination number 2, origination error number 2 that Phil mentioned earlier in this presentation. So there's multiple ways that you can enter claims into the OCP. The first way that I'll show you is the user interface, where you just type in the claim. So you click here and you'll see a list of all your connected suppliers. If you started to type in the code, then the list gets smaller based on those suppliers that are with HF or whatever it is. So I'll say I'm buying from Forest Products Limited. I will see all of their information. I'll see when their certificate was issued. I'll see that it's a valid certificate. There's a nice little check box up here. And here's the basic information that I need to supply on that purchase that I bought from my supplier. So transaction identifier is invoice test 123, whatever it is. Claim date, I bought this, let's say on May 8th. The claim type, the nice thing about these drop-down boxes is the claim type, the top part here where it says claim types and then global types. Claim type is what is in your supplier's scope, listed on info.fsc.org today. However, if they have said, oh no, we can actually sell you FSC 100% pure products, and you received a letter from their CB saying, yep, it's fine, if their info.fsc.org just is not updated, then you can choose that. So if I did that, you'll get a little notification that explains that you've chosen the claim type, which is not defined in your supplier certificate, and this will be part of an exception report that you'll receive later saying, hey, you better, it's a reminder that there might be an issue with this claim. Or if you just choose the claim that's part of their scope, it's FSC mix, you have to put the percentage in, 70 is a typical percent. If you want to choose to enter your product type, you can. It's optional, like it says right here. Product type it's very valuable. It's not a required field because it's not something that's based on your invoice. All the rest of these fields are things that are on your invoice. But if you enter product type, then your volume summary tool will be much better for you because it'll list the FSC purchases by product type. So we could say we're buying plywood.
Can I ask another question here?
Yep.
I was wondering why it's left optional, because the way in which any company registers their transactions with regards to FSC certified material, it's by product group, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't this improve the linkage and the cross-check between the data of the supplier and the purchaser?
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of benefit in putting in product type. The main reason why it's not a requirement right now today is because all these fields are other things that are on invoices already, and we received some feedback saying, some companies don't record the product type when they're buying the material. They record it somewhere else later on.
Just to be clear, it's not a current requirement in the chain of custody standard. So we felt we couldn't make it obligatory unless it was a requirement. The indicators are that this will change in the new chain of custody, the revised chain of custody standard. Yeah. Then we will, we are building the OCP based on the standard. So if the standard changes and says product type is not, product type is required, then we would, update the OCP in that regard as well.
Yeah, okay. Right. Makes sense. Thank you.
And when we say required, we're talking about what's required on the actual invoice. You're absolutely correct that when the auditor comes in to audit a company, they look at the volume summary, including the claims, claim type, what the product type is and how that meshes into the different product groups that the company may have. So this is just based on invoice information. But we think so far feedback from many companies so far has been that they see the value in entering this. If they have a different way that they already produce their volume summaries that's very simple and it works for them, then they may not choose to enter this. So let's say we're buying 100, let's say, cubes, and the description is FSC mix 70 plywood, and then you submit the claim.
And Emily, could you explain how you can consolidate claims? I think that's important for streaming.
Yes, you're reading my mind. That's perfect. So for some companies, there are different ways to enter claims. So you can manually enter them, you can use a spreadsheet, or you can connect your computer system to the actual OCP. And a lot of some feedback we got from companies is some certified companies only buy 1 or 2 things as FSC certified every month, or maybe only a couple things every year. So the user interface might make sense for them. There's also companies that buy the same product every single day, you know, tons of pulp every single day that's FSC certified from the same supplier. So that's a lot of claims to enter. So we've worked with them and come up with a solution where you can consolidate those claims or group those claims together. So if I'm always buying, let's say I'm always buying from Forest Products Limited pulp, and it's always FSC mixed credit pulp that I'm buying, I'd say okay, then I can consolidate all the FSC mixed credit pulp that I bought from this one supplier in a 1-month period. So I can say, you know, on May 1st, I entered all of my April 2014 claims. And then I'll choose my product type. Let's go down to P's since we're talking paper. Whoops. Okay, I'm buying pulp. And I'm buying, I don't know, 100 tons of paper. And the description is pulp mix credit April. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So instead of having to enter each and every claim from every single day in April, I can choose to consolidate them together and submit that claim. Other companies.
Sorry, it makes sense. Just...
Okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, it makes sense. I just had a very minor thing with regards to user friendly, because I noticed that you have to type in the description each and every time, whilst it's basically a recap of the boxes that you already filled in, right? So it's not something that gets automatically generated.
No, you do have to type that in every time. We are working out in future functions and features of the OCP of ways that if you do have the same description almost every time, then you can, the system will auto-populate that for you. That's not built into it yet, though, but it's great.
Sorry, very minor thing. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, another way to enter claims is to download a spreadsheet. So you click here, you'll have a spreadsheet that comes up. And basically the same information that we just saw me enter here is the information that will need to be entered into the spreadsheet. A lot of companies who have a lot of FSC purchases have computer systems that track this, so their system can run a report with this information in here. So then they can put that information into the spreadsheet and then email it to their specific email address, or they can choose files here and upload the file. One other piece that I did not mention is if I am buying from a forest management unit, then there's 2 more pieces of information that the company must add. They must add the species, and then they must add the country of harvest. And then that information will be passed on inside the OCP from each user moving forward. So if you're a retailer, you'll be able to run a report, a country of harvest, an origin report, and you'll know the possible list of species and the possible list of countries of where the wood in that product came from. And the way we get that report is from the forest. So whoever is buying directly from the forest will need to enter species and country of harvest. And also, if you're buying from a supplier who's selling you wood from their controlled wood risk assessment, then you need to enter species and country of harvest. And there's a little informational eye that pops up here that explains what this means. Here, I don't have a spreadsheet to show, but if I were to attach a file, you choose your file, and I'll say the file was uploaded. This one is not an Excel document, so it tells you already that there is an issue with that. If you do supply an Excel sheet, you can put different suppliers' codes here. It doesn't have to be the same supplier like the user interface. If you have, thousands of claims entered here, all those claims will automatically be entered into your account once you submit it. And then if there are any errors where you accidentally typed in, the certificate holder, your supplier's code wrong or something, a report will come back to you showing what those specific errors are. So you can update just those specific line items. And you'll get an email about that, and it'll come through your notifications as well. Some companies have said that they would really like to be able to enter their FSC sales for multiple reasons. So if you look at your supply chain tab and you look at your suppliers, it's up to the customer to allow their supplier to enter sales. So here's the little box where you do that. If I want to allow Forest Products Limited to enter their sales to me, then I click that little box and it says now the supplier is allowed to make claims. Or if I say, actually, I don't want them to make claims to me anymore, I want to be in control of this, then the supplier is disallowed to make claims. But the sales tab is very similar to purchases, where you have to find who your customer is. You see all the information. You enter the transaction ID again, invoice 456, claim dates. I sold this a couple days ago. It's a mix. I don't know, 85%. Product type. I'll show you what happens. Let's do meters. Fiberboard. If I don't choose to enter something, you get a little error up here. So you have to have the full FSC claim. If I chose FSC mixed credit, then that little error doesn't come up. Some companies are frustrated because their auditors, because they're getting corrective action requests because they don't have the proper name, they still have FSC mixed with the ED. So this will eliminate those types of minor corrective action requests. And the same thing, you submit your claim, and then you have your sales claims. And you can download an Excel sheet, same basic Excel sheet, except at the top of it, it says it's your sales versus your purchases. Otherwise, it's basically the same information that's passed on. To see how this works, let's look at the Purchase tab, and let's view claims. Come up here in a second. So these are the couple tests that we just did. Here's the April consolidation of claims. You can see that the status of this, it's new, so my supplier has not accepted it yet. If you want to edit the claim, you can edit the claim. If I edit the claim, then my supplier will see the edited version in their account. So there's no way that I can edit my claim and they won't know. So it's a handshake between the two trading partners. It's one claim's recorded, and that's one record that both companies have. Okay, let's get up here. And again, your supplier, they have 14 days to review and accept the claim, or they can edit the claim if something was incorrect. Otherwise, the claim will be automatically accepted. We can look at all claims. And we can give you access to the demo account of the OCP to one of these fictitious supply chain accounts. If you have interest in clicking around and checking out the OCP yourself. You've had really great feedback so far, so if you have the time to review this, I'm sure you'll be able to give us even better feedback as you dig into this more. To see here, some of the claims have been accepted. This one's a new one, so it hasn't been accepted yet. The last tab is the reports tab. So here is what you were getting at earlier about the product types. If you click here to get your volume summary, we've used this company a lot. Their volume summary is going to be big, so it might take a minute to download. Okay. I'll choose a smaller time frame. But anyway, you'll get a report that shows all of your FSC certified purchases, all of your FSC certified sales. You'll get one of the tabs shows who all of your suppliers are, who all of your customers are. As you know, part of your audit, you need to show who your suppliers are, what their code is, what the cert number is, all this information. And here's a list of all your FSC purchases. If you do have a conversion factor, you can enter in what your conversion factor is, so then you get the same type of units. A lot of companies don't have conversion factors, so we kept this at 1 as a default. Then you'll see the basic volume summaries. So that's the basic OCP itself. If you have any questions about this, let us know. Otherwise, I will hand this back to Phil.
Yes, so I think that in conclusion is demonstrating the online claims platform. One thing Emily didn't describe is we also have API, application programming interface, that allows the OCP to communicate with company ERP systems. So basically, so it can be completely automated between computer systems, so user interface or these spreadsheets won't be necessary. And this is very important for very large companies to be able to do. So it's very important that we be able to offer this for the smallest organizations out there. Part of the advantage of the spreadsheet method, not only can you do thousands and thousands of claims at one time, even if you maybe have a few claims and you have weak internet wherever you are in a remote area, sending it in by email will continue to keep trying. And many small organizations have ability to do Excel and send files over the internet. We are testing, part of our testing is testing with all sizes of organizations and all the different methods of using the online claims platform. So that we are moving forward to working with industry, working with organizations, but we are want to have the word spread that the OCP is available to demonstrate on a demo version, and encouraging those those who might feel have there's a lot of industry that have misperceptions about the online claims platform. We encourage them to at least test it and see what we are developing, and provide input into that. And so that's an important point that we want to make to stakeholders out there. And we encourage people to provide input and contact us with any questions they might have. So I think with that we can maybe we can stop recording. Emily, I think you have that ability at this time, and then and we can answer any questions that there might